everyone and welcome. My name is Kudzie Mapiye, and on this channel I do videos about my life living here in Australia, and I also share different life lessons that I've learned along the way. I'm so excited about today's video because I'm going to be doing a get to know me video. This is the second get to know me video that I've done, and I just thought, since we've had more people subscribe to the channel, welcome everyone and thank you. I just wanted to reintroduce myself or share some information that I think people might be interested to know, or that if I was watching this channel, I would be wanting to know. So I really hope you do enjoy this video. If you have any other questions that I haven't addressed, please feel free to put them in the comments, and as usual, I love interacting with you in the comments and I will respond to you there. So let's get started. I've just got the questions written down on a piece of paper here, so I'll just be looking down to see which ones I'll be going through. So I might just be looking up and down for a little bit, but I've got 10 questions that I want to go through. And the first question is, what do I do for a living? So some of you might know, if you've been on this channel for a while, that I came to Australia to study, and I studied a Bachelor of Business. So I have been working in the corporate world for 14 years in Australia, and in those 14 years I do 3 main business related jobs. I've been working for one large organization, and I do jobs that are like within that organization, but sometimes different roles. So I think I've done a total of maybe about 15 different roles in the 14 years that I've been there, or 10 to 15. I've actually lost count. Like, I've done a lot of different roles. Some have been short, some like 2 weeks. The longest role that I have held has been like 3 and a bit years, like almost 4 years. That was the longest role. But I work in the areas of workplace health and safety, business improvement, and change management. Those are the 3 main areas that I work in, and in the 14 years I just cycle in those areas. Like, I can hold a health and safety role, business improvement, or change management. Those are my favorite areas to work in, and those are the roles that I usually do. Now, the second question is, how did I meet my husband? So if you've watched the channel, you've seen my husband and my 2 kids. I've got a husband, a son, and a daughter. My son is 8 currently, and my daughter is 2. And I met my husband here in Australia. Now, I came in Australia in February of 2008, and then 2 weeks later 2 weeks later I met my husband, and we have been together ever since. My husband came to Australia 6 months before me, and how we met is we were actually preparing to go to a concert. This was my first ever concert. So Malika, if you know Malika, the South African group, they had come to Brisbane, and I had always loved Malika, and I was like, I want to go and watch them. So it was at a Malika concert. My friends and I were going to see Malika, and I was so excited. So as you know, with concerts, like, you're young, I don't know if they still do this, there's like pre-drinks and just pre-hangout events before the actual concert, just to get into the mood of the concert and just to enjoy the night. So it was during that time where we'd just gone to a mutual friend's house. That was where I met my husband, because we were at this friend's house who was a mutual friend, and I saw him there, and I kid you not, It was love at first sight. I've never been the one to believe in things like love at first sight or, you know, the one or things like that. Ever since that day, it was the 7th of March, right? That is when I met my husband. And ever since the 7th of March, we've been together. First as friends, and then we got into a relationship like a few weeks after, I think. A few months, I don't remember. But yeah, we've just been together ever since. And I met him there, and the first thing I was fascinated with him about was his name. I just always loved that name all through growing up. So when I heard someone call him, like immediately I turned and I'm like, I love that name. Who's that person? And then I set my eyes on him and I was like, whoa, okay. And you know, that's how everything unfolded. And as they say, the rest is history. So that's how I met my husband in Australia. Now, the third question, what do I miss most about Zimbabwe? This literally changes week to week. It's not day to day. I miss different things about Zimbabwe all the time. I can say currently what I miss about Zimbabwe is just that sense of belonging and connection. I think kind of like since COVID, since lockdown, I have really appreciated connection and relationships. And I think in Zimbabwe, it wasn't as hard to build, to maintain, to connect with people because you're born into large families, extended families. There are always people there to connect with. And sometimes with like, you know, people even working from home, working different schedules, living in different areas, it's really, really hard to connect. And I miss the times where I had all my people around me and it wasn't as hard to connect and people could just drop by on the weekend. You can go to your grandmother's house, your auntie's house. There was always a sense of connection and I really, really miss that. And that is currently what I miss the most about Zimbabwe. Now, the fourth question is, what is my favorite thing about Australia? Again, this changes week to week, day to day, month to month. Currently, my favorite thing about Australia, I think, is just the opportunity to build a good, sustainable life, the stability, even though I believe like currently there is a lot of like financial crisis for a lot of people, but I still believe relatively Australia is a good place to make a living and to have some kind of sustainability of income. And I really value that because, you know, I have a family, I've got dependents, I've got 2 dependents to take care of. So I really value stability and a steady income and having a bit of predictability in what's going to happen and not feeling like I've got no idea or what is my financial situation going to be. I've always been a person who has valued financial stability ever since I was young, and that is something I always seek after. So yeah, that is why I like Australia at the moment. The next question, what is the worst thing about Australia? What I currently don't like about Australia. At the moment, it's the crime. There is a big youth crime crisis. Like youth crime is just going out of control everywhere in Australia, like every state in Australia. And recently the head of police, you know, so the police commissioner just resigned, and I think part of the reason is because of these like different youth crisis, crime crisis things that are happening. There's not enough police, there's too much crime, and this is the unsafest I've ever felt in my 16 years in Australia. I have never felt so unsafe, even sometimes during the day. Like I think I've become actually a little bit paranoid because sometimes I'm like checking my rear view mirror, like, you know, as I'm driving, because there have been so many reports of hijackings and car theft and, you know, all sorts of things, even during the day, not just at night. So I am feeling a little bit paranoid, like a little bit paranoid, on edge, not safe, and that is currently the worst thing about Australia for me. I just wish we could just turn back the hands of time and go back to the time where we all felt safe and secure in our own homes, and not even on the train. Like, I take the public transport to work. I go on the train, and that is one of the most unsafest moments for me, being on the train, because there's so many like youth who look like they're on drugs or whatever, and they're just causing trouble on the train. And I'm always on edge when I'm traveling to and from work, especially from work. That is the time that they usually get on the train, and I am just not enjoying that about Australia at the moment. Yeah, so the next question is, what is my favorite thing to do? What do I like doing? So for me, I am a homebody. I'm someone who loves staying at home, being at home, and just being around familiar environments and familiar people. So that's my favorite thing to do, is just chill and be at home and read a book and have a cup of tea. I'm such an old lady at heart. I love just reading a book, having a cup of tea, like just cuddling up on the couch with a blanket. Those kind of things are my favorite things. Watching a movie on Netflix. Things that involve me being inside the house and not going outdoors are my favorite thing to do. And currently I'm just looking at the book that I'm reading. I'll just show you guys. Like, this is the book that I'm reading at the moment. As you can see it, it's called The House of Eve. And oh my goodness, it's been like the best book I've read this year. Every book seems to be the best book I've read when I'm reading it, and then I read the next one, I'm like, oh my goodness, this one's the best book. So currently my plan for the year is to only read books by African or African American females. That is my plan for the year, and that is what I've been doing throughout the year so far. And this book is by a lady called Sadiqa Johnson. She's African American and she is brilliant. Like, this book, The House of Eve, is just, it's a New York Times bestseller. So that tells you it's a good book. But I am really enjoying this book. And I've actually searched other books that she has written, and I'm looking forward to grabbing hold of those books as well. And where I get my books, I am a member of the Brisbane City Council Library. That's where I get my books from. And some books I buy, but I have bought like quite a few books, but because of storage issues and stuff like that, I prefer to like borrow from the library, and the library offers a really good service. So this is actually a library book, as you can see, like it's got the library coding and stuff like that. So I love reading books from the library, and there's a library app which makes it really convenient. That's what I use, so you don't even have to travel around with your library card. It's all in my phone, the barcode, and I know which books I have in the app, which books I have checked out, when they're due, and I can scroll the catalog and see which other books. And the other good thing about you know, being on the library app is that actually most of the collections in the library are not on the floor, so they're actually in storage. So sometimes you can wander around the library and not find books that you think you like, but actually when you scroll the catalog online, you can see a lot more books. I feel like this has become a commercial for the Brisbane City Council Library. But anyway, if you are in Brisbane and you are not a member of the library, please be a member. You will not regret it. And that is for every area in Australia. There's always like the local city council for that area will have a library. Get on board, join the library, and it will transform your life. Yes, I really love reading. I have since I was a little person. And then the next question is, what do I hate doing? So what I hate doing is the opposite of what I love doing, which is I hate going out in unfamiliar environments, meeting with unfamiliar people, socializing with unfamiliar people. So I am an introvert. I'm a huge introvert. So it's really hard for me. Like, it's not hard for me. Like, I can always pull it off, but it's really uncomfortable for me being in unfamiliar environments and hanging out with unfamiliar people. I always feel a bit weird. Like, I just prefer being around the things that I know and the people that I know and the people that I like. So yeah, anytime that we have to go like for a function and I don't know who's going to be there, I don't know the people, that is just the worst thing that I can ever imagine. Yeah, so I like being around things that are familiar. And I've lost track of the questions. I hope we're going in order. I've kind of been jumping around the ones that I've had. Okay. I think this is the 8th question. If I could relive one year, which year would that be? If I could relive one year, one experience, for me, it would be 2013. It was the best year of my life because that's the year that I got married. And I just loved the year, the experience, the wedding planning. I just loved everything about it. It was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I loved my wedding day. I know a lot of people feel stressed on their wedding day. I just enjoyed the whole experience. I enjoyed every part of the planning. I'm such a planner, so I love planning events, and having an opportunity to plan a big event like a wedding was just a dream come true for me. So I loved 2013. So that was, if I could relive one year, it would be that year. And you might be wondering, what about the birth of your kids? Yes, I loved those moments. Maybe not the whole like pregnancy experience. I wouldn't relive that, but like the actual birth of my kids, of course, that those were really, really precious moments. But if I could relive like a year, I really loved like my whole wedding year. It was just amazing. Planning and then going on my honeymoon, which meant more planning. I'm such a planner and I was in my element and I loved it. And then the second last question is, why do I wear head wraps? Why do I wear a head wrap? I get this question so many times, like even here in Australia, a lot of people always ask me like, oh, is that for religious reasons or is that for cultural reasons? So the reason I wear head wraps all the time is it's just a form of self-expression for me. I do have hair under the head wrap, and sometimes I do wear my hair. Every time when like in the evenings and stuff, I take off my head wrap when I'm with my family and I just let my hair loose. Yeah, so I just wear my head wrap as a form of self-expression, cultural self-expression, because, you know, being from Zimbabwe and living in Australia, sometimes you kind of lose touch of your identity. Like, it's not that you lose touch, but you just want to be reminded, or I want to be reminded more of who I am, where I come from. I don't ever want to lose sight of that. And wearing my head wraps is just a way of staying connected to my culture. And, you know, yeah, and it's just a form of self-expression. And I'm not a fan of wigs. And getting my hair, I used to get my hair braided, but I'm just not, I'm so busy and I just can't find the time. So I just prefer, instead of wearing a wig or getting my hair plaited, I just prefer wearing a head wrap. It's kind of like my wigs. You know how other people wear wigs all the time? I wear head wraps. That's just me and my thing. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I have got so many of them. And yeah, I just love it. I feel so naked without them. Like, if I'm not wearing a head wrap for a day, I'm just like, no, this is not right. I love my head wraps. And then the final question is, do I plan on moving back to Zimbabwe? Now, I'll just put this book there. So, at the moment, I do not have any plans to move back to Zimbabwe, and that's just at the moment. I do think eventually I would love to like move back, but I don't see myself at the moment. This might change. I don't see myself moving back permanently, like full time. I would love an opportunity where I live between Zimbabwe and Australia, because I love Zimbabwe is my home. It will always be my forever home, and I would love to stay there, but I would also love to stay in Australia. So I I'm hoping for a situation where I can do like a, you know, in between arrangement where I've got 6 months in Zimbabwe, 6 months in Australia, even if it's not continuous, but you know, kind of like halfway there, halfway here. It'll be the ideal situation for me. So yeah, those are my plans when it comes to moving back to Zimbabwe. I hope if you've enjoyed those questions, that video. I've definitely enjoyed making it for you, and I hope that gave you a little bit of insight into me, who I am, and what I like, what I don't like. Yeah, so that's all about me, guys. If you have any other questions, comments, please put them down below and I will interact with you there, and I will see you in the next video.